And we've got breaking news on the federal investigation into President Biden's handling of classified documents. NBC's Monica Alba joins us from the White House. Monica, what have you learned?
Well, Chris, this may be something that, of course, people have some questions about, given what we've seen just happen over the last week or so in other cases related to the handling of classified documents and that material. So, of course, we saw the Department of Justice wrap up former Vice President Pence's review of the matter last week. Right now, we're seeing this activity consistently with these signs pointing to perhaps the end of whatever is going on with former President Trump's classified documents case, with all of that activity. So in terms of what's happening right now with President Biden's own review, which was given this special counsel earlier this year, we know the matter is ongoing, and there's nothing that's really indicating that it is set to wrap up anytime soon. And the reason that that is important in terms of the timeline here is that for months now, the president has vowed to cooperate fully and completely with this review into his handling of the classified documents found at his former private office here in Washington, and then also at his home in Wilmington, Delaware. And that could entail, through that cooperation, an interview with the special counsel. And so, along with my colleague Carol Lee, we're reporting here essentially that aides have anticipated that that is something that absolutely could happen at some point, but that the terms of that potential interview would have to be agreed on between the president's own legal team and the Department of Justice. And the conditions, based on some conversations about what other presidents have committed to, is something that still would need to be worked out. And so in the context of when this could happen, it's unclear, but we know that this just continues to be something that Robert Hur, the special counsel appointed in that case, has been reviewing through the course of his investigation, and that when the time comes, we understand that the president and his aides would commit to that interview. Again, we don't know exactly what form that would take, but that, as one Biden aide put to us, there's no real way around it. So that is just something that, as the former president's case could perhaps be coming to an end here, and we saw the former vice president's case did wrap up in that context, so that one didn't have a special counsel. This could be just where we would be taking the conversation next in terms of where the current president of the United States stands in terms of his own handling of this classified information. Chris.